That's not 6 yet, is it? Or is
I
it
don't
5?
know. It'd be hard. Ready?
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the September 15th, 2020 regular meeting of the Blaine County School Board. With that, Philip, if you do the invocation.
Lord, we thank you for this evening that we are coming together to conduct the business of Blaine County Public Schools. God, we ask, Lord, for your wisdom and your guidance, Lord, as we direct the education of these children and, Lord God, the safety of all. God, we ask, Lord, this evening that you would teach each and every one throughout the district, and, Lord God, that we would glorify you, and we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the minutes of the August 18th meeting and the August 25th meeting. Any comments or modifications or corrections to those minutes?
I have none.
Good to me.
I could have a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
4.
4.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. We modified the agenda to address the bus situation first, partially because we have an individual who needs to go home, pull a well. So trying to support his needs. With that, I'm going to make a number of comments, and Lenore can tell me how much of it's correct when I get done. But my understanding, we have basically 2 categories of bus drivers. We have those that are on a 144-day contract, and we have part-time bus drivers.
180, 145. 4 is your part-time. 180 is your full-time.
104, okay, 144, 180. See, I told you she'd correct me. Yeah. Okay, and of that, I think 3 of them are the part-time that we are utilizing on daily runs.
4. We actually have a 4th one. Right?
4, okay. So I'm 2 for 2 here. When the schools were shut down, the part-time went on unemployment.
Correct.
Aha.
Correct.
Got one. And with that, I think they were actually able to collect the COVID money on unemployment, so it was a very nice unemployment.
Was really good.
Right, okay. The full-time ones, we were trying to be good to and kept them on payroll, partially because if we laid them off, they would lose their medical insurance.
Correct.
Okay. Now, at the end of the day, we didn't know that this COVID money was coming and stuff, and if we did, we probably would have talked to each one and maybe made a different decision, but basically, we paid them through the end of the year. Okay. So now, also, of course, if they got laid off, not only insurance, but there wouldn't be, no money would be going into the VRS, which is a retirement. So now we're back, basically, I'll say in a normal mode, except the bus drivers are driving 4 days a week.
Yes, sir.
And we have, again, correct me if what I say is wrong, we have no obligations on them on Wednesday. They don't have to come and show up for work in any way.
Are they cleaning buses on Wednesdays? Or?
No, we're doing that through custodial.
Okay.
Now, as far as the shuttle runs, early on we were having all the drivers go to both schools, but my understanding is that's not the case anymore So if you could kind of update me on how we're handling shuttle runs.
Well, we're kind of back to the norm on that. We have two from one school taking the high school to the high school and the elementary. And then we have, 3 buses that take the elementary from the Rocky Gap to the elementary. High school to the elementary. We're still being in compliance with the cleanliness, the disinfecting, drivers maintain, social distancing on buses. We are still continue to stay off the highway, to stay on the secondary road due to the volume and incidents that happen on the highway.
Okay. And I think the main question we've got is, what is the proper payment for the shuttle run? And right now, we're paying how much for shuttle run?
Lenore?
$12?
$16 a day.
16.
$16 a day.
Yes, $8 morning run, $8.
And is that what it was last year?
No, actually, we changed it, this year, we changed it to
Changed
$10.
it to 20. Okay, I was gonna say, I
Yes.
knew it was increased.
Yes.
Last year it was 16, this year it's
it's
$20 a day.
Okay.
Okay. So, and the request from the bus drivers is that this be raised to,
Back to what it used to be. When this was first set up, we were getting 4 hours a day, which is what it should be, 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. So now someone made a bad decision, and none of our people here, but for some reason they got that cut down, and we would like to have that 4 hours back.
and
Because
what,
it's necessary.
what do we consider an hour, $8 or
It's $10 an hour now.
$10 an hour? So that would raise it from $20 to $40.
Right.
And we've also asked, that my understanding, that the buses drive 42 rather than 77, is that correct? 52. Got me again.
Right, I'm
About
like, why did you put down
25% there.
42?
Glad this isn't Jeopardy, but,
With the Mendoza line.
okay, because of the trucks and the risks on 77, and the drivers are in agreement with
We're in
driving.
agreement 100% on that. Anytime you have a wreck on 77, there's casualties. And we've been very fortunate not to have any. And it's much better on the 52. It takes longer,
Even coming
but
down the
it's
mountain?
safer.
Okay.
And we,
Even.
you know, that was a good decision by Mike and Mr. Mead to move us to that.
How many students are we allowing on a bus now?
15.
15?
We require a mask, right?
Yes, we require masks regardless if they're separated by a seat, for the simple fact that it can carry 16 feet, so we're just being safety for the drivers and well as the children.
Okay, and so your shuttle buses are,
They're packed.
you're holding to 15. Just trying to get everything on the table as we're moving forward. Probably the first move, if we can keep the schools safe and keep the virus out and all that, will be to bring back K through 3 4 days a week. Do you have any idea what that's going to do to your bus routes?
They should be remain the same.
You think we can handle the additional kids?
You'll have, you gotta think though, that kindergarten class alone is 55 kids or so, and that would be an additional 22 kids to put on buses.
We have that, we have that type of room. Each bus, even though the shuttles are completely full going to and fro, the buses are rolled in on separate days, with only 6 children in it, 1 child in it. So I think everything will work out fine.
Okay. If you would,
Family members can sit together also.
families can sit together.
Family can sit at the same seat.
Right. Yeah, kind of look at that, because, you know, if we can start working ourselves out of this situation, that will probably be the first move that's made. And we'll stick with the 4 days for a period of time, even if we do that. But,
Would that be still leaving Wednesday as our?
right, Wednesday will still be the off day.
Yep.
Uh,
So you're talking about the shuttle pay, is that for every driver or
For the ones that drive the shuttles.
Just the shuttle driver.
for 4 of us? Okay, so that's
Well, right now, it's five.
5,
So it's $100 extra a day.
so $100 extra a week,
No day.
a day? Yep. Is that what we're talking about?
Okay.
And then $400 a week.
The only thing that's offsetting right now is, you know, they're, even the part-time are being paid for Wednesday, right? Is that true?
No, part-time only get paid for the hours they work. They're paid off a timesheet.
So they're paid, so you're being
4
paid for
days.
4 days or 5 days?
Well,
I was told he was
we were
being,
gonna get paid for Wednesday also.
I was told that. I don't know who told me.
You'd have to ask Cindy.
Okay.
They're paid off the timesheet. That's all we have to go on. Because they're not salaried employees.
Well, we're still under a contract for 146 days, 144. I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so that's another thing we need to make sure we have a common understanding on.
And that's just on the part-time, correct?
Right,
Correct.
of which there are 5.
And that probably, confusion there is when we were having the Wednesday where they brought them all to the garage, right?
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
that's changed since then, so.
That's changed. We actually have our own equipment. Mr. Mead has purchased for us, and we're doing it ourselves. So,
Okay, okay,
But I don't want to take any money away from our drivers, and
right,
they do an outstanding job, and we need to.
right,
all
and
we
we
can.
all want to make it through this together, so
Yeah.
it's is there any, the action agenda is later, we actually moved this up so that you guys wouldn't have to sit here through the whole meeting, and Mike, like I said, needed to leave. Anything that I did not cover that you think you might need for input here?
At one time, years ago, but that's from just being here, it was not safe for them to come across the mountain from Bland to Rocky Gap. I mean, from Bland to
Down this hill?
Bastion. Is that, I mean, is
I
it
think the only
okay
question we
then
had
or
was on
what?
brakes and things, I think, but,
I mean, but it's okay now?
Oh, yeah.
most of them,
Okay.
Well, there was a question, we wouldn't run anything over the mountain that didn't have an exhaust brake.
right.
Yeah, you, as the more
Okay.
standard drive buses too, so.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And if
Sorry.
you see, if you are behind a bus coming off the mountain and you see it looks like they have the brake lights on, that's to let you know they're slowing down. The Jake brake actually activates the brake lights.
Okay.
Also, the interstate is a different animal than it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and
I
it
never
doesn't,
take the interstate.
doesn't take any time at all to get stuck in traffic too on
Mhm.
the 77, so.
Especially with the tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys are welcome to stay, but if you do want to leave, that's fine. And I know, Mike, you need to get out of
Or
here.
do I have anything else to say?
Okay.
The only thing I would say is I'd appreciate if you guys would give us 4 hours back. We would appreciate that. And you could pay the part-time on Wednesday if you wanted to. You know, our contract is 80%,
Right,
which, you know, is part-time, but 80% is almost full-time.
right.
You still gotta drive it when they're
Shame
not
you're
at
so
school.
bashful, you know.
I
I
know.
know. Take
Thank you
care,
guys for your
take
attention.
Thank you,
care.
guys.
Bashful.
Bashful, not have.
Okay, the enrollment report.
You see, the attendance report that, it's in your packet. It, looks like we're slowly starting to drop more students. Laura, I think I saw Laura, did she stay here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there she is. She told me today we have 45 total students that's getting home instruction, right? So that's an increase of 23 from last year.
And that's homeschool that's not enrolled in our system, correct? Okay. Is there any reason why they didn't enroll in our system or anything?
Most of them it's because of COVID and they just want to keep their kids at home.
Yeah, but I mean,
Right, but
is there a
couldn't they
reason
enroll in?
they didn't go all virtual or
No,
they just?
Well, and let me add something. That's the first thing we offer to them, that we can do everything that homeschool does now. So it's not like they don't know that's available. And Laura's been able to get kids to switch over to our
Especially with, you
remote
know,
learning.
if we get to go back to sports, you know, in the
Well, I'm not saying that didn't hurt us. That hurt us a lot, I think, with
Yeah.
kids not being able to do after-school activities.
What we know of as a count right now, we're 21 students down from last year. It's probably going to be worse than that because we've got a number of students that have not come to school and have not logged in on their computers. And we're just, I'll say, getting that looked into as far as truancy right now. So we've got a number of issues with the way schools are remote learning, and some people feel that they don't have to do anything. So this is going to be a difficult year, and you know, the bad thing about losing students is, of course, we'd like to have the students and like to educate them, but also it means we lose funding. And since the ability to reduce costs is tied to facilities and people, it means that we end up having to put more local money into the school system. The next item is financial reports. At the end of the year, both the county and the school system do what they call cash accounting. It has to be turned to accrual accounting at the end of the year, and that's been done. And right now, there's a few questions that are being answered. But from what we can see, the year ended up pretty much the way we had said in a prior meeting, and we should have somewhere between a $300,000 and $400,000 roll coming into this year, which we will be asking the Board of Supervisors to do. Home instruction on students. Laura, do you have any comment on that? We're up to 45 on that. You commented a little bit a minute ago about that.
We went from 20 last year to 45, 45
Does the state of Virginia have any requirements on this? I mean, do they follow up that these?
Yes, there is, they have to submit their, request for home instruction. They have to provide us with, the program that they're using, what courses their children are taking, and then at the end of the year, they'll have to submit a report to us with the progress of their children.
Is there testing involved with the children?
They have an assessment.
Are you the one that has to then? Okay,
Unless they're religious exemption, then there's nothing required.
so there's no requirement on religious exemption. Okay.
So if they want to come back into school, they have to pass, like to go to the
They'll
next
have to
grade?
provide us with assessments, and then we take a look at that and determine their placement.
Is it for a whole year, or could they decide at
They
mid-year?
can decide at any point.
To come back in.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is next phase for K-3 education. Who is going to present that?
What I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, is kind of let Mr. Grimm speak. Principals are up next, and let him kick off the discussion on K-3.
And then just move into
And then we'll
his-
just move into asking questions and trying to see where we go from here. So if that's okay with you, we just,
Mr. Chairman, at what point were you looking to have public comment?
I was going to do it at 6:30.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Grimm?
You get the mic.
All right, thanks, Senator.
And the camera isn't at your backside this time.
Mm-hmm.
Still my better side.
No.
So, things at BCES are trying to go forward and establish a new business as usual. Obviously, things look very different than they have in years past. Having not even been here in years past, I know things are different. But we kind of are at a point right now where we're trying to get all those state requirements in place too, working through PALS testing, some kindergarten skills testing, and then working through PALS with kindergartners as well. It probably will take us all of the full 9 weeks to get through all those components, just because we don't have access to students regularly to get through those pieces. We are in the process of responding to our no interaction students who are virtually, who we're not getting response from. I've asked teachers to almost reach out daily to those families to see what's going on and log those conversations, either through one of our social media pieces of Class Dojo, to get those records in place to understand that when a teacher sends a message to a parent, we can see when the parent opens the message, but we don't know if they've actually read it. And then to follow up those requests for communication through phone calls if possible. We're now to the phase where Ms. Umberger and myself are now going to start reaching out to those families to have that hardline discussion of what's your decision? Which way are we going? Because a no interaction online not only means a 0 in the grade book, but it has the double whammy of looking like a truancy problem on top of that. So we kind of need to explain those pieces very clearly. We understand that there are some technology barriers that stand in the way for some families, and need to have a very difficult discussion of, if you do not have access to Wi-Fi to be able to do that sort of instruction that we have in place, top tier instruction really, to be able to move our students forward, families will have to make that option and accept that challenge to go out and find Wi-Fi, and we know that there are spots across county where they can actually do that. Virtual student iPad exchange for Chromebooks in grades 1 through 3 will start tomorrow. So those will start going home. The first group is, I think we're doing 3 to 6 tomorrow evening to exchange those. So the families can bring back the iPad, the charging cables, and the bag that it came in. And when they come back inside, we'll just examine it real quick, put the Chromebook and the cable for the item back into the bag, and then hand them back over to them. We just need to see the 3 items to get the 3 items. And I believe we signed a new form for that as well, too.
Do we have enough for
Oh, yeah.
1 through 3?
Yes. Yeah.
And
They're labeled, ready
they're
to
all
go.
formatted, you're ready to roll?
No, they've done
Okay.
an excellent job. Denise and Nick have done an excellent job to get us ready, Denise. Because I know you're the Chromebook queen, to get us where we need to be. So we actually have Thursday towards the end of the work day for folks who work, and then we'll do Thursday morning and Friday morning to get those exchanged out, and then probably have to send some very personalized invitations for people to come back in and keep those exchanged. Can actually say of the nearly 100 plus students who are virtual, we only have 1 student who has not come to pick up those devices yet, and so that's been a pretty continuous trying to communicate, and a lot of times we're not getting that response back. So that is at the top of my list for that possible truancy concern that's involved. So we expect there'll be a pretty good response from folks to get those new items in place. By getting the Chromebooks to the virtual students, we kind of get our K through 3, or excuse me, our 1 through 3rd graders using those items within the school day so they can be prepared when they eventually do take them home. Virtual students will have access to them at home first, obviously, and then we'll kind of ramp up as we go through the next couple of weeks to get those students when they do go home with the device so they can explain to their parents how to use it. Hopefully, that's the idea. So, and one other big piece we have going on is a school-wide lockdown drill. We actually will have 2 of those next week, one for our hybrid A students and one for our hybrid B students. And we will be working in conjunction with the sheriff's office so that we can make sure we follow all the protocols in place for that. So, and I think information went home for the A students today. We'll post something on our social media piece tomorrow, and then send more information home for our B students in the next 2 days of this week.
Just real quick, just to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I have to say it. On Wednesday, do we don't have SROs, we don't have deputies there at the schools, do we have?
We're short of, for deputy, for our deputy, we're sort of sharing the responsibilities with court system right now.
Okay.
When he's available, he's there with us. But since they're if any, to no students in the building on those days, we understand that.
Okay, cool.
And he communicates that to me in the week, so we know when we can have him, and we always have him at beck and call via cell phone.
Okay,
So.
good.
Same with high school, he does court services and stuff too.
On Wednesday?
Mhm.
Okay, good. I had just thought about that and just.
So I guess that other question from the previous item on the agenda is the next phase for K-3 students. Having spoken with a couple board members here in the previous weeks, our ideal of where we get to go is to be able to move away from virtual instruction. It works well in many ways. It supplements the instruction we have at school ideally, but face-to-face, especially in those grade levels, for K through 3 is not nearly the same thing online as it would be if we can have the students back in the building. So having said that, completely respect the family's decision to be able to go forth and do what's best for their child and their family. So not trying to undermine those pieces at all, just wishful thinking that we can get back to the old normal, although we never know what that's going to look like. Getting all of our students back into the building, there are a couple pieces I think we need to at least have a large discussion about, or at least an appropriate discussion. I don't want to get to the point where we say that we're going to bring all of our K-3 students back and it pushes some of our students who are in the building 2 days a week into full virtual. That seems like the cost of, we have, say there are 100 students and 99 are there 4 days a week and we push one into virtual. That is almost saying it's not going to be the top tier instruction that we'd like to give. And to me, that seems like a concession we'd make. 2 days is better than none. So I have a bit of a concern about that piece, but there may be ways to address it. Social distancing obviously is going to be a piece that comes up. A lot of what we're doing instructionally, and I think the teachers need to have a right to speak about this as well too. It's difficult to do phonics, let alone when teachers wearing a mask and the students are doing the same thing. We're trying to identify areas where the students are having difficulty, and if those facial expressions and that mouth movement and the tongue placement are all covered up, there are some concerns there as well too. I think there are other ways we can overcome that as well again, but it's just pieces we need to keep in mind if we have social distancing and everyone's wearing a mask 24/7 or all 7 hours of the day. And I think it would be appropriate to, well, I meet with my faculty weekly, at least in the grade level groups, and I know their viewpoints are important and strong. Yeah, I'm looking at you. I almost died last Friday. So it's a long story though, but it was worth it. I do believe it would be important, and I would love to be part of that discussion to kind of mediate that a little bit, but a little bit of the idea that their viewpoint does matter too, not just personally, but instructionally as well too. And it will very much vary, I mean, for our higher elementary teachers all the way back into primary as to what's best for students. We have students with IEPs, students with disabilities, who we are investigating the idea of they're already coming back 4 days a week. And we may look at that on a student-by-student basis before we require every student to come back into the building on those days. The difficulty as of right now is we're running 2 different sets of pacing. A-day students and B-day students are doing the same thing 3 days apart, basically. So if a student is there all 4 days, they would be receiving the same instruction twice. And so we'd have to redo our pacing once again. Right now we're trying to establish what does this new normal feel like? And today was only day 6 for our A-day students. We've only seen them that many times. So it's been a little difficult. We haven't had enough time and place to really figure this whole thing out yet.
Right.
So there's been some difficulty there. But that's where I am with it, not knowing, having a bigger discussion.
Do you have any open spaces? Are there any rooms that are not being occupied?
Biggest rooms not being occupied at this point is I have forced, and I think forced is the right term because it makes a difficulty for them, is my specials teachers. PE is taught in the gymnasium, so they have room to spread out. Mr. Altizer is teaching music up in Wagner. They have room to spread out there. Art, computer, and library are going into the classrooms just to keep that movement and that social transmission piece to as little as possible. So that does open other spaces like computer labs, but they're also full of computers and we need to maintain those for SOL testing, should that be a thing in the spring. Other than that, I can't think of any open classrooms that we have. There really aren't any.
How many students can you have in a classrooms? I mean, the classrooms are fairly large. How many can you have in there and have social distancing?
I would disagree with that. Our classrooms are not overly large. We have some that are bigger than others, but we have, let's say, a 4th grade classroom that has 7 students in it, and the students are wearing their masks because they can't maintain the 6 feet apart piece. It's a 4th grade classroom. Fifth grade is actually doing pretty well, but we have a high number of fifth grade students who are doing social distance or doing learning virtually. So the social distancing is a little bit easier because there'll be a few as 4 students in the classroom on an either day. But to bring them all back, I think it varies very much by grade level. I have kindergarten classrooms that have 9 students in them either day of the week right now because we're almost at 58 kindergarten students. And they do need to be with us, we understand that, but the social distancing piece feels entirely different in the primary levels than it does in the elementary level. So, but not a lot of space.
Okay. What do you see the next step moving forward?
I don't know the answer to that. A lot of it's the kind of wait and see where we are piece. I understand that and respect it. We're kind of getting our feet just underneath us and to already talk about moving into another phase, be it forward or backwards. I think that's a fair way to say it. It's difficult to even anticipate what those pieces will look like because we've not lived them yet. I would love to be able to encourage my virtual families to come back in. I know we said December or January is when the end of the semester was really what the expectation was, that if they keep them out so we can maintain the social distancing that's in place. But I would really like to be able to, next step is to, once we show that we are following the guidelines that are in place and not changing the rules around, encouraging some of those virtual folks to come back.
So that's kind of your thought, is encourage some of the ones that are remote learning to come to school.
Mike, would it help if we looked back when we wrote up our plan and not used it as a semester to come in, but look at it at 9 weeks and offer the folks to come back at that point in time?
I don't have a problem with that. My biggest thing is I think families really need to take some time to figure out what it is, because if they're going to flip-flop back and forth, it makes us harder and it's for the division. It's not the best need of the child. It could be difficult that way too, but we have to maintain the safety of everyone in the building. And to say, well, we're here today, nope, we're going to go back out. Respect it, understand why those decisions need to be made, but I think it's just probably a lot of very individual decisions and discussions that we as a school system and a building and our teachers and myself can have with those families to figure out what's best for their children.
Have you had anybody ask?
We've had some inquiries, and I can probably, saying this live on the internet, I'll be pretty hard when I put down the directions and the rules that we have for our building, but when it comes face to face to a student, I'm going to do what's in the best interest of the student.
Right.
So I've
When
been
does the first
open
9
arms
weeks
pretty
end?
much. Yeah.
Okay,
Not that far from
so about a month away.
there. Yeah. Would you want it sooner than that, or would you like to say October?
Kind of the same spot as a lot of other folks and teachers I've talked to in our building. I'm interested to see what the next time does to our numbers in the community, if they really start to dip below where we're at 64 right now, or cumulative 64, I forget how to read that. It'd be nice to see, like, hey, we're in a stable place.
Right.
We've had no cases tied back to our building at this point.
Right.
We've had some concern, but I think that's acting in the best nature of everybody in the building. But yeah, I would love to be able to get students back in and at least put that invitation back out there.
Yeah, the 19th. 9 weeks.
Well, can we agree on making it a goal on the 19th, I'll say, to invite people to evaluate again? And those that are remote learning, and a lot of this, everybody's living day by day. So I mean, but saying the county stays solid, the school system stays solid. Can we have a plan to say, okay, if you'd like to change your approach after 9 weeks, we would be open to that?
I think I like that idea a whole lot better. Part of the reasoning, and that kind of just coming to me right now, is if we took our hybrid kids and made them 4 days a week, and we left our virtual families, we're not providing any bridge for them to come back in that doesn't seem like completely worse than where we are in their sense of assessing how the school system is set up right now. So I think that's a good step to not lose our virtual students, invite them in, and then
Would it
once our
help,
numbers
Mike, to
increase.
do a survey?
Possibly.
Like a Survey Monkey, just a couple quick questions and see what we got?
And we can take care of that as a building and get those responses back pretty quickly, I would think.
I'd be
Except for those
interested-
who aren't responding to us at all on Dojo, but
I'd be interested to see, after they've been home for a while, how they feel about coming back.
And the online instruction is very much that. It does require almost a constant Wi-Fi connection to do it effectively. We've had a lot of requests for paper pencil, and we're not comfortable. As instructional professionals, it is not what we were looking at last spring. That was a lot of remediation. This is new, rigorous, direct instruction that we're trying to provide as best as possible. Teachers are making their own videos. They're piggybacking on what else is available on the internet. If families do not have Wi-Fi access at home, they will have to reach out to other resources to be able to pick that up. And that, we understand, is a hardship in a lot of cases. That is very difficult to do. So teachers are providing a lot of grace on how to turn those items in, additional time. We don't want it to show up as a truancy issue because you were 3 days late in turning something in. We're trying to avoid those pieces and understand there's a human aspect of what's going on here. But it is difficult. And so students back with us is the ideal piece of what's going on, and maintain that safety as best as possible.
Okay.
So.
Does that sound like something we can discuss as our plan forward, the 9 weeks, see if we can,
I'd like to see exactly how many people would be interested in
Right.
sending their kids.
Yeah.
I would too.
we can
I
make
mean-
that part of the process, is to do a survey.
And so you're saying survey them just to see if they're willing to come back into the hybrid model
Yes.
or into 4-day-a-week
No,
instruction?
into
Hybrid.
the 2-day a week.
ABs.
I mean,
Now, you-
it
you're
could be
talking-
as simple as, give me a call.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
may, instead of, because a survey could be misleading to say, well, if I don't get my opinion out there, then, or if enough people don't respond the same way I am, my needs aren't important. No, these are individual discussions about children. They're all important.
Yeah.
So if a student has a question about, or a parent, about how to do the Wi-Fi or how to pull the instruction, or can I get my student back within the building, call me. Just call me. It would be good to know where everybody stands. But if I had to deal with all 100-plus students on a one-by-one basis, I'll do that to serve them best.
Well, and we have to imagine this too. This year, I think you said it earlier, is going to be evolving. I mean, perhaps, and I hope, by 36 weeks, we're looking at everybody comes back.
Yeah.
And then we have to change everything we've done again, so. But,
Are you looking at, if we do this, doing it for K through 6 or still K through 3?
I'd invite K-6. If they were
Okay.
virtual, if they want to do distance,
Get 'em
and
all
they
back.
kind of reassess things and they want to look at that option. If they want to say, can we look at it for 2 weeks, I'd be willing to listen to that as long as we had an idea of what was going on. I want to do what's in the best interest of our students. If the family feels that it's their best interest of their student to keep them as a distance learner, I completely respect that piece too. We just need to make sure we're working in a way where we can get the student access to the curriculum the way we need to present it.
Okay.
So
And we appreciate your thoughts on that.
Yeah,
Anything
that's
else?
very good. yeah.
appreciate you asking.
Yes.
We were kind of freaking out that it would be January before we would. be
No,
able to
it's,
see some of
if
these
if
students.
it's, you know, we want to go with the way you feel, so that's.
Right, and you like you say, parents have had a sample of what homeschooling means, and they may be deciding that it's not what they thought it was going to be, since it's different than it was at the end of last year.
Yeah.
Since this is new material. And the other thing is, you know, they were waiting to see how we were going to handle it as a school system.
Mhm.
So saying that everything stays clean for us, and you know, no matter how good we do, you run a risk. I mean, somebody can come in that visited grandma or something and comes back with COVID. So, you know, it's a day-by-day thing, but I just want to make sure we have a plan on how to move forward.
And we're following the guidelines as they're written in the plan, so we catch students pretty quickly if they come in showing symptoms,
Right.
do all the right pieces, communicate to families, and keep them separated but supervised, so.
Right, in the elementary school, we're much better off because you keep them in a classroom.
Yeah.
The high school, we get somebody in there, the tracing is going to be much more difficult. So.
Absolutely.
How's JDM? Good?
Yes.
Clean? Good?
Yep.
Yeah, I've
Some
heard
good
a lot of
discussions.
good things. I've heard lots of good things.
Good
so.
son. Getting us converted over to everything we need per the plan, not on top of just all the cleaning and regular maintenance needs to take place. They've got
Right.
us exactly where we need to be.
I really like
forward.
the faucets and stuff they
I do
put in.
too.
They're
I do.
really nice.
They've worked really hard to get those pieces in place, and that's appreciated.
Yeah.
And we've fixed some of the communication pieces we had initially, so that's been helpful too.
Yeah. A lot of people are living on the edge right now. That makes people nervous.
It's all very quick.
Yeah.
It's been very quick.
It's very true.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll do a little sitting back here, and do we have any public comment?
Do you have a timer,
Do you have
Lenore?
a sign-up sheet back there, or?
Explain the rules.
Okay, we have one person, Dreama Hatcher, just to kind of go over how this works. It's a 3 minutes limit, and it's basically for an opportunity for you to give us your opinion. It's not a discussion, it's not a debate, and the board may ask for clarification, or the board may just listen. So with that, Ms. Hatcher.
Good evening. It's good to be able to be back in front of people. I really enjoy that. It makes it much easier. There was a few different points I wanted to state out. First off, it was a very difficult decision for us to decide whether to send our children to school or to keep them home. We went with virtual. One of our children is diabetic, but now she's 18, so she's opted to go to the vocational school 2 days a week. And thank you for Mr. Estep assisting us on that. There's a few things I wanted to point out, and this is not just from my viewpoint, but viewpoint of other mothers and fathers out there, or grandparents working with the virtual students. These children, and not all teachers, some teachers are doing a fantastic job, and I mean, they're double teaching. I get that and understand it completely. But the question I have is, and I understand there's also a technical issue of not having the proper equipment, is would there be a way that the teachers could record when they are doing their lessons with their students on whether Group A, Group B, or whatever, that can be recorded? No violation to showing any students, but it can focus on the teacher, and that our children at home actually have the opportunity to see what the teacher's doing instead of just receiving notes. Zoom calls are great. We only have a couple teachers that's Zooming with the kids out of the total classes that we have. And we've been unsuccessful in the Zoom calls. I've gone down and loaded up at the school. I've been down there. We've been at the school. We've been at the Mountain Home Center. And that would be even during days that the children are there, whether it's on Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday. And I can tell when all those kids are getting on the computers, on their Chromebooks, because we can't. As soon as everything kicks in, they get kicked right off. So we're having difficulty picking up. There's not enough out there Wi-Fi for them. One thing I would request is that talk to the teachers about working out a schedule for the kids that can be given on Monday that we can see. Some parents have kids that just go through and just do. Some of us, we don't. If we can have, like a lesson planned. Say, okay, we've got this. Zoom calls. If there's going to be a Zoom call scheduled on this day, let's know in advance. Because one came through, my daughter got a message at 2 something this morning that she had a 10 o'clock Zoom call, or there was a 10 something this morning. The message didn't come through until this afternoon. So but those are just some points that I wanted to, stand out just as a parent that has virtual children. It got her attention.
3 minutes, right?
Is that what that means? So, but I do appreciate it, and I thank you all, and we're just, I'm praying for you guys. It's not an easy situation that you're dealing with, but we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We know we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Mr. Estep.
No, you're okay. I thought I'd got by. Thank you guys for allowing me to be here.
You can take the mask off if you need to.
Oh, thank you. I think everybody was pretty clear on kind of where we started, and where we're at today is a tremendous amount further than
where we were, and it is a big thanks to a lot of people. A lot of people in this room. Ms. Tate has donated most of her time to help Ms. Hodock and get the schedule where it needs to be. Mr. Mead's been there every single day helping us get through, and we appreciate that. Most importantly, the teachers, Ms. Leftwich, anybody else that's in here. That group right there they're tough, and just thank you to all of them. Charlie, one of our student representatives, the students mainly, I think they felt the uncertainty. I think they could feel it in a lot of us, and they showed patience with us and sympathy with us, but more importantly, I think they showed some grit and some toughness, and we appreciate that. So, attendance-wise, it has gone down a little bit. We're at 339 total, 109 in Group A, 106 in Group B, so we're pretty close. 97 online. We've got 26 kids that attend VOTEC, our vocational school in Tazewell. If you're aware of how Tazewell's set up, it's a little different than how our groups are set up. They're Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, so we've had to be extremely flexible, and I think we'll have to do that throughout the entire course of the year. Those kids are just as important as our regular ed students.
Do they have, are they split as well?
Say that again?
They're going, as far as the VOTEC, they're going, Tazewell County is going 100% of the kids 4 days a week, right? Is the VOTEC doing that on their side?
They offer 2 days a week.
Just on the VOTEC side?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do we feel comfortable with what they've done from a COVID standpoint?
As far as Tazewell County? Or
Right, Tazewell County.
Yeah, for the students.
for the students?
Have you heard any
I've
complaints? or anything?
spoke with Ms. Beavers, and we haven't had any issues. Of course, I haven't been there to really see it
I
firsthand.
know
but
they've had quite a few cases in Tazewell.
They have.
County.
Yeah, we're a
Yeah, but I
little
don't
bit more lucky
think,
than
as far
Tazewell.
as the school system, I think it's been good. They had a bus driver, I think.
We haven't had any in the vocational school, as far as my knowledge.
You're going to
She
VOTEC?
goes to,
Is it good?
We have, the hallways are with signs, and you have to you have to go outside and circle the school to get back in. So,
Okay.
you get your exercise.
Yeah.
From a school safety standpoint, we've had multiple fire drills. Mr. Grimm has helped us along, helped me along as well. We've going to be doing our lockdown drills next week, so that'll be new for some of the new teachers and new for the kids. Athletics, we've been rolling since June. We're still in that phase 3 right now for VHSL. They condensed the seasons down to roughly 60%. We've got most of our schedules done: basketball, football, and finishing up volleyball. Anyone that's not aware, Giles County just won their appeal to drop down to single A, so they'll be joining us next year. The toughest Division I or single A conference around, I think. Course schedules, they're complete. We like to think that they were complete Friday, but we're making changes into today. So I think remaining flexible is the key point there. So, but we feel like we're in a really good place with it. Student activity, Charlie may touch on this a little bit, but we've added another fundraiser for our senior group there. They've decided that they want to paint their parking lot spots with their own designs, and Miss Bailey has been leading that up. Something a little morale boost, something different. We've never done that to my knowledge here. So Charlie's been leading that up, and we appreciate his determination to get that done. Mr. Mead approving that.
So we can question him on what the rules are.
He made the rules. So
They're good
when he
rules.
proposed it, he was prepared, and I appreciate that. A lot of people don't come prepared, so that's a good thing to do. So, that's it in a nutshell from me.
Thanks for all your communication to parents
Yeah, I
and
appreciate that.
to the students,
We want to keep doing
to
that.
the teachers, and
I think
and
they
appreciate all you've done.
want that, and I think we need to do it. So
I mean, I think at this time, the more communication you've got, the better.
Yeah.
Because everybody's living on the edge.
You said it day to day, and that's true for all of us. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
no problem.
You're good with
it's part of it.
JDM, everything's good on that side and clean?
JDM is that we got lucky with that.
Yeah.
They've been great. Ms. Sheets, Mr. Underwood, Mr. Dent, daytime custodian, Mr. Dent. He's top notch. They're all top notch,
Yeah.
but we're extremely appreciative of them. Ms. Sharon, and of course John Dale. But Sharon's been a pleasure to work with, and I think as soon as you pull up there, you can visually see the
Yeah.
difference, but you can feel a difference inside. So we appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
When we want to get Charlie?
Okay, next,
You want to get
Charlie
Charlie
to
up
go?
next?
well, we can if you, do you need to, are you short on time?
He's on the agenda.
He's on the
Is
agenda.
he on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the
I
next
must have
is
the
the
old
Chromebook
agenda.
Queen.
Chromebook Queen.
Chromebook Queen.
Chromebook Queen.
She's a tired Chromebook Queen.
That's not easy to say.
What'd you say? Yes, the Chromebooks are in. They came in 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago yesterday.
If you want to pull this off, you can pull it off since you're talking to present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. They came in 2 weeks ago yesterday. It was on a Monday. I didn't know they were coming. Jerry came down and he said, Denise, you've got 20 Chromebooks coming. And I thought, well, great, they sent the 20 and not the 150 I needed. But he meant to say 20 boxes, which is what had the 150 Chromebooks in it. So I got on the phone and called the rep, and she said, what? You have Chromebooks? I said, yeah, and you're not getting them back, so don't even tell me they go somewhere else.
exactly.
They're staying here. So it was a good surprise. I've spent the last 2 weeks getting them with teacher help, Mr. Grimm's, getting them out of the boxes, getting them inventory, getting them put on the domain, getting stickers put on them, getting them checked into the library software, getting them checked for the kids checked out of the library software. They're ready to go. Teachers are using them in first, second, and third grade. They just jumped right on. And I think a lot of that for the teachers is due to Debbie's Google Classroom training this summer, because they've just, the first, second, and third, they just jumped right in there and went away with it. We also have the iPads for kindergartners. All of the kindergarten students have an iPad. It has a case. They've went home with the virtual. I'm not sure, are they letting the iPads go home with the in-school students, Mr. Grimm? I'm not sure that's happening yet, is it? I don't think so. And the Chromebooks for the kids that are in the school, the teachers have asked if they could keep them for a few days and work with the kids with them. So I think they're going to try to send those home next week sometime, just to kind of get the kids familiar with them and that. Nick did all of the iPads for me, got them into the software package that I purchased. We have pre-Ks ready to go. I'm just short some cases, and I've been trying to get the heavier duty cases for those, for the iPads. But we did find some yesterday, so hopefully those will work, and we can get the pre-K set up with their devices as well. So it's went rather smoothly. Nick's also been working with the teachers, getting their classrooms set up, getting their technology replaced, connected, whatever, since they've come back since the last meeting. He's been monitoring the software for me, especially a couple of them. I purchased a new package for the iPads, a software package, so that we can control those from our offices or from home. So he's been monitoring that and antivirus and things like that. I've been with Tyler and Karen the last week or so working with schedules and that, so I've kind of put a lot on Nick back there. The link that we created for the help desk link has been a great help for us. We get the email, it comes in, tells us what whomever sent, we've even had some from parents. There's none emails or stopping us in the hallway now, you know, saying, hey, this doesn't work. And by the time we turn around to go back to our office, you know, forgot what you even told us, because and that has really helped us, wouldn't you say, Nick? A lot, yes. And we're just constantly working on the web page, monitoring software. I'm trying to get PowerSchool and that where it needs to be so we can start the reporting side again. So we're moving right along. So
I know I've had several parents on the K through 3, or actually 1 through 3, ask when the Chromebooks would be in, because they said their equipment at home they were having trouble with. So the sooner you can let the children take it home for the rest of the week, the better.
Mr. Grimm's already pretty much taken care of that for me.
Yeah,
So,
I think and them having the same machine at school and at home.
Yes.
Rather than switching off, I think.
And I had a few parents too that had emailed me and, you know, were like, the iPad's not working. Well, they have an older child that had the Chromebook, and I said, well, both kids can log in to the Chromebook, and that seemed to help a lot when those issues arised. So we did have some of those, but yeah.
You got them salivating before you gave it to them, so I think they'll be very pleased.
Oh, yeah, and I don't think anybody was more pleased than me when they told me that they had come in. I did a dance, so, yeah. So, thank you all.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Okay, Scott?
Yes, sir. I've been pretty busy the last couple of weeks. But interesting enough, this past week we had a visitor come in from Fredericksburg, and he is a past graduate of Rocky Gap. He graduated in 1955. Is that what he said? I think it was 55. He's 81 years old. He wants to work with us. He wants to help us. He has a business. We give him all our contact information. He has contacts with Alice Lloyd College in Kentucky, where they're offering some free scholarships for kids, those that are in need. Also, his friend that was with him was Gail, I think was her name. Gail is a grant writer, and Gail is willing to help us with some grant writing, especially when it comes to facilities and upgrades of facilities or new facilities. She was adamant before she starts writing grants, we have a plan on what we're going to do with our facilities, and then she would pitch in and help us. They're coming back soon. She didn't give me an exact date, but at that point in time, he wants to visit, and I told him we would set him up to visit, especially his old high school. And I look forward to working with him. He seems like a very knowledgeable man and very successful man. So we need more people like that to come back to our system. But 1955 graduate, and before he got out of here, Lenore found the annual, and I let him take the annual with him, which I don't know, she didn't like that very much, but
I believe it'll be all right.
but
If he helps out school, we'll
anyway,
suck out
but it was really good. I gave Chairman one of his cards, and he didn't recall any of you people. He didn't know anything.
I wasn't around then, believe it or not.
Okay. Going out to the high school's been great. I mean,
He's been in a good mood.
well, it's because so many positive people there. The students especially. I love the students. I love going in the mornings to each classroom and seeing them, or trying to see the teachers. And if I can't get there in the morning through the day, I try to visit as many classrooms as I can. And we have really good students here in Bland. And if you'd like to go out there with me someday, I'll introduce you to a few that I have met. Our teachers are outstanding. We have an outstanding librarian out there at the high school. Anyway, I feel very positive that they've welcomed me, and that's a really good group of folks out there from the office on down. And I'm very happy to have been able to go out there and do what very little. I can tell you though, with the office crew, if you bring them something to eat, my gosh, do they get excited? Huh?
Is that Curly included? Or?
That is my son, all day long. And so, our bus drivers have done a really good job this year adjusting to the new routes and new things that we're doing. They take an interest in our kids. I think our SROs do an outstanding job too. We've got a lot of good things that go on in Bland that sometimes I've not seen. School board office staff here, even though I think they come in late at times. I haven't been here, but they're not all of them. That's right. So I'm really proud of the way they've picked up things and helped me to get through this time too. I only saw one face turn red when I said that. But we owe her many we owe her many hours, so I don't say anything to her. One of the things we did this year was we hired nursing assistants to help with our nurses. And I haven't got a chance to get up to the elementary school, and I apologize for that. But I can speak for the one we have at the high school, and she does an outstanding job. All day long, she's walking around with a little bucket and her gloves, and she's wiping off doorknobs, and she's wiping off this, and she's cleaning things. And you saw her today. She's just always on the move and keeping things clean, and she's a really good hire for us. I'm glad you all agree to that. Our cooks, Kelly I'll let her chirp in here too. We were so happy, because we were really scared because kids weren't eating. We were so happy to get this opportunity to feed our kids. Free breakfast and lunch. So we had December 30th? You want to elaborate a little bit on that? Or? Okay.
It's open, it's just like the summer program that we done during the closure. Any child that's 18 or under, whether they're in school or out of school, virtual or just kids that don't go, that's not old enough to go to school, they're eligible for it. They still have to sign up through the school board. We deliver those, we don't deliver them, they have to come pick them up on Wednesdays. They'll get meals for 5 days, 5 breakfasts for the week and 5 lunch for the week.
So that's for kids that are in school or out of school?
That's in school or out of school,
okay.
Yes.
Everybody.
So
just like we did in the summer.
Hopefully at some point, if it comes available, we can do the delivery. Right now, we don't have the staff to do deliveries right now. But it's open to anybody in Blaine County. So all they have to do is call the school board and sign up. If they just want their meals for in school to be free, they don't have to do anything for that. That's just automatic. But if you are virtual or a 2-year-old, 1-year-old at home, you need to call and sign up for that program.
Also, on Wednesdays, for right now, we're open for business. So if you know of any business that would like for us to prepare lunches for, we'll be glad to do that. Now,
Yeah, Tammy's been trying to get the community East River Metals, and then there's a Central Equipment in Rocky Gap. She's been offering them meals on Wednesdays. So they've been having orders come in for those. They're also making homemade pepperoni and cheese rolls for anybody that wants to buy those.
Cool.
So they're doing extras to make money. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Grimm, go over there at lunchtime.
The cleanliness of the schools is like I said, that I can speak from the high school, and I'm sure the elementary is just as well. But it's really nice. It's really clean. It's constantly cleaning, and I'm proud of the staff. I've got to know the ones at JEDM that work through our day, and they're between Tammy, Kevin, and Frank. They keep the place looking really nice, and they're really easy to go to and say, Kevin, I need to do this, and they don't hesitate. They try to help you out, or they'll come to you and say, what else do you need me to do today? So it's been good. I'm really happy. I'm sure you are too, Tyler, with it. So Matt Hurt, I got Matt to come in and do a professional development. We got him right off the gun just like that. And he came in and he worked with the new teachers at the high school and taught them the CIP methods of doing things. I thought it was very rewarding, and I was glad to get him because he had one day to do it before he went on vacation. And he said, I love coming to Bland, and he showed up and did a great job for us. So I had a request from Debbie Blessing, of all people, and she represents the BCEA, and I do read my emails occasionally. So her request is that on our November, we have the days of the 23rd and 24th that we put down to use as virtual learning for teachers to report to the schools and things. Her request is teachers are so overwhelmed right now, it'd be really nice if we allow them to do that work from home. Is that correct? Okay, so it's something that if you'd like to consider, I think it'd be nice. Our teachers are really doing all they can.
And above and beyond.
And I'd like to say we can offer that to our teachers, if that's okay with the board.
Yep.
And principals. And principals.
No, I don't know about the principals.
I think the principals ought to.
Well, let me tell you, I'm sitting.
School board too.
I'm sitting there watching the Jets get beat on Sunday, and I get a text. Do you mind if you call me? I'm at work, and that's one of our principals. So
The Jets got beat?
Yeah, they got beat.
But they're used to it.
That's all I have. Our special ed department is running very smooth right now. I'm very happy with the job Ms. Radford's doing and the rest of our school board office here. But it's been a little rocky there in the past year or so, but she's really worked hard to get that straightened out with IEP meetings, and so I want you all to know that she's working very hard. So that's about all I have today. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Did I miss anybody? Thanks again for Mr. Marzoff.
Yeah, thank you,
Ms.
Mr.
Leffers, for
Marzoff.
coming. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You may not have missed it, but I missed it. I didn't thank the person that runs that school with her eyes closed, and that's Tiffany Bradshaw.
Yeah.
And let's say that name again. Tiffany Bradshaw, because she's watching and she wanted to make sure we mentioned her name. Tiffany, you do a great job. Thank you.
It wouldn't operate without her. We appreciate it.
Okay, Charlie, you gonna tell us about the parking lot?
Definitely. I'm going to take this off so that way I can project better.
Yeah.
But from the students that
If you don't mind, go up there since it's being broadcast.
I don't mind.
Charlie always gets best
He's
dressed
been there,
too.
done that, haven't you, Justin?
I like them shoes.
I like those shoes
too.
too.
Thank you very much. So with the students that I've talked with today and basically the staff, they thank you a lot for all the work that you've done, the staff and the administration, just getting this little rocky edge that we're getting through and starting to reach that incline to have what we can call the new normal. So based on clubs, I know that we're utilizing Google Classroom very well with FBLA and Beta. And we're also looking into socially distanced projects because from what we hear from the students that want to collect their hours or if they're wanting to serve their community, we gotta make sure that we meet the COVID guidelines and socially distancing. So off of the National Beta website, we've collected several projects that we could definitely utilize through social media, or even if it was an out project at our local mission or nursing home, so that way we can reduce spreading and then still give back to our community. With the parking spots, we have a small group. It wasn't just me alone, but I've had a couple seniors in advanced computer information systems talking about how we can make the school a little bit brighter. So we feel that the seniors, with their last hoorah this coming year, they can paint their spot along with just showing off kind of like who they are and leaving their footprints on the school. Well, literally. So with the guidelines that we put in, we do have to make them pay $25 fee, and that just gives them the permission to paint their parking spot. Once they pay that fee, they can send in their design and description of that design through Ms. Bailey, our advanced CIS and personal finance teacher. Once that is approved and we recorded down that number parking spot, then that allows us to give them the get-go to bring the painter's tape and their own exterior paint to get to work on the parking spots. We are starting to work on those tomorrow. And for those in Group B that haven't heard the announcement or seen the flyers across the school yet, they'll have the chance to get that into Miss Bailey while they're in person through those 2 days. And then they'll go to painting on Saturday. So it took a while to get everything set in, but we're really proud of the students that want to voice their opinions, but also keep the resilience and the understanding that this is a new time. So that's basically all I have for you all. I'll definitely come in more information. Where I've been elected to the Virginia State Cabinet, I'm attending a Southern Region Teen Leadership Conference. So that includes around 9 to 10 states along the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean that have been incorporated through 4-H. So hopefully we'll get some opinions from those states of how they're doing or dealing with the coronavirus and how they are proceeding with their club activities.
Is this live or virtual?
This is a virtual event, so it's, I'm trying to think, September 24th, 25th, and 26th. And since that is a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they're making the first 2 days in the evening so to make sure that people that are going into the schools those days, they can come back home with a stable internet connection and participate in the conference. And on Saturday, it's a full day event. So I know the SAT is on that day, but we've also been working around those types of instances and having the recordings so that way they can look back and learn and review what type of leadership that's been going out across the entire United States. So if you got any questions, I'm open for that, but.
Well, we appreciate you coming, we really do.
Yeah, it feels great to be back because, like, during the summer, locked up in the house, it's just like, so it's good to be back in the school systems.
So we can come and view those next week? I mean, I usually
Yes,
take River and Rich on a
definitely.
walk, so we can.
We were also considering, I've had a couple teachers, I'm pretty sure they meant it in a semi-serious matter of them wanting to paint their spots as well. So
We'll have to watch them.
we'll have to watch those out carefully, but maybe something correlating to their subject that they teach or something they participate in terms of extracurricular activities, then we'll allow them to have the same option as our seniors and build that connection with the staff and our student body.
Yep,
That's
that's
a
cool.
good idea.
How much you gonna charge them?
Double.
Hey, you got teachers that are
It's a
watching.
fundraiser.
It is a
right?
fundraiser. We would like to get money to contribute it to FBLA, but more than likely it'll be same price, and hopefully we can get more moving in
Well,
terms
our
of
count.
Once basketball
expanding
season-
in our schools.
Once the sports season gets back in, maybe we could do the public, we can have them buy their own parking space for basketball games and charge them.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Just joking about that.
Yes, of course. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
Charlie.
Okay, Lord, we'll start on the far end here.
Wow, what a year to have started on the school board.
It's your fault.
Why did you have to say that?
I'm sorry.
The past 8 months has been just a flurry of learning activity and policies, and then all of a sudden making new policies and finding that there is no activity to a certain degree. But over the past couple weeks as I've been in schools and I've seen the start of school now under my first year being on board, it makes me excited. I'm excited, just like Charlie was talking about, kids come back to school, to see them come back in. And I got to be with Mr. Mead this morning as Mr. Malamachi was starting a gym class and seeing the kids in there having a good time. And, you know, it reminds me of education is here to build bridges for a lifetime.
Yep.
And I'm excited to see us getting back to a good start. I'm optimistic that we can make a path forward for our students and our community that will prove successful for them, but also give them the support. As I've been out in the community, I'm hearing a lot of, you know, there's a lot of stressors, especially whether your children are remote learners or whether they're just on a hybrid schedule, that it's a lot of stress to keep up with, especially on these devices, and particularly with families that maybe this is the first time they've ever had a device in the house. You know, me and Ms. Radford talked about earlier about fair and equitable education, and you know, during this time, if ever we're going to be put to the test, this is it. But with that, I know that we're all working hard, and I've seen a lot of those people working hard from the ground up. I got behind a school bus the other morning, and I was never so happy to get behind a school bus on my way to work. But it was a joy to see them kids getting on the bus, and no doubt the bus driver, you know, looking forward to picking them up. So, you know, from lunch ladies that I saw this morning to, you know, our custodians, JDM, to our building administrators here this morning and many other staff. You know, I'm excited for you all. I know these are different times, but it's exciting to have these kids back in school, and I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Sharon?
I just want to say thanks to Tyler and everybody at the high school too, all the teachers and everybody, because I know this was a more difficult beginning of school. Having been there, done that, it's like it's a difficult time, to starting and the ending of school. So I want to appreciate all your all's hard work. And Mr. Grimm, it's exciting to have you with our family. Now I hope you enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed having you, and we appreciate everything that you all do. And you all back there, Denise, I know she needs a big thank you, or time off for helping Miss Hodock. So I know she appreciates you a whole lot. We appreciate you too, and Miss Radford, and all the teachers. And they'll do what they have to do to get it done. We just have that type of teachers in our system, and they will get it done. So I'm praying for a happier year, if we can do that, and I know it will be. You all will get the job done.
Take this off so I can breathe. 3 weeks ago, it was Grimm. Not Mr. Grimm, but I mean, it was just, I mean, it's really, you know, my heart sank thinking about going back to school and everything that we was up against. But tonight I hear optimism and hope, and I hear good things and things going on, and it makes you feel good as a school board member. And that's thanks to Mr. Leftwich, Mr. Grimm, Mr. Mead, Ms. Tate, Ms. Hodock, and I hear Kelly working with getting the meals and stuff, and Ms. Radford and Ms. Blessing, all the teachers and people back there, Nick and with the tech, and Mr. Pauly and everybody else in the school system. I just think we owe you guys a lot, really do. Thanks to the school board members, to all their work. I know all three here are extremely dedicated. Mr. Sheffers for everything he does, Mr. Buttry, Ms. Sharon. Ms. Sharon has a passion. People don't see it, and she doesn't say a lot during the meetings, but she shows a lot of passion behind the scenes when it comes to the school, and I think she brings something to the school board that a lot of us can't do, and I appreciate her a whole lot. I'll just tell you, she was in tears at one point in one of the meetings, just hearing about some of the things that was going on, and because of how it affected the teachers and the students. And I can't say, I hope people are out there watching on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, that they may not understand the passion that she has for the schools, and she has for the teachers and for the students. So I appreciate everything you guys have done, really do. Kelly, if you can, everything that was going on with Wednesday and with the free meals and stuff, get that in the paper, get it out on Facebook, just so everybody understands, especially with the Wednesday, because I think if our community knows that they can come and buy meals from the schools and it'll help the schools, I think they will. I think you'll see that. And I hope people are out there that are watching this. You tell everybody, spreads it around and lets people know that can be done. You can buy meals at the high school on Wednesdays, and it helps the schools. And I don't know if the elementary is doing that or not, but it's something that can help the schools, goes back to help the schools. And just like Mr. Meade was talking about, the gentleman that came back to the schools from Fredericksburg, I hope there's people out there watching and gets this out to other people that have come through our school systems. I know a lot of people, when they leave Bland County, they can't wait to get out of Bland County, and they go out and they be successful, but sometimes they forget what made them who they are, and it was Bland County. And I hope that maybe this will be a call for people to come back and help out the school system, to come back and give back, because we got some good people. We really do. We've got good students. We got great students. We got great teachers. We got great administration. And I appreciate everybody and everything that they've done, for all the hard work. It's been a lot. I just appreciate everything. I know one of the things that I've had complaints about was electives. Our electives have dropped off the past 2 to 3 years. That's something I would really like on the high schools to really start to focus back on, so that we have more to offer our kids. And then also for the clubs, to make sure that we give them ample opportunity for the kids to be able to meet, to get together in their clubs as much as they can safely with COVID, because it's about the kids. That's what the education's about. And about the seniors, this is it. Like Charlie said, this is their last hurrah. This is a difficult one for them, and as much as we can do for them that we didn't get to do for the last years, I think we need to do as much as we can for this year's to help make it up. So that's about all I got to say. There's a lot, but.
Okay, I'll look at things a little bit from the financial side. The COVID has put a lot of additional costs on the school system, and at the same time, it has taken away some students and has the potential to take away even more students depending on how we manage things. So this year's budget, the county agreed to fund us roughly $250,000 more out of local funds. Nobody likes to pay taxes. Nobody wants their taxes increased. And we're doing everything we can to try and manage the finances. And with that, the nonprofit organization Quill works very hard to bring money into the school system. And the With Bland Foundation gave their grants this last Thursday, and Bland County Public Schools received $30,000 for educational enhancement. So that's things that teachers can apply for and get. And several of the new teachers were saying they had ideas of things they wanted to do. Well, this is their opportunity to do it, so make sure they're aware. So we got $30,000 for educational enhancement. STEM Up got $127,700. That's great. Pretty remarkable. And the JAMS program got $9,800 too. So You put all that together, $170,000 coming in, and all the grants were well-written. There was no markups on any of them, no negatives. Everything was done in a very good manner. And not only, I'll say the grant writing, but Bland County has a reputation of executing on these grants. And that makes it much easier to go back and ask for money again. So Laura's been a key player in this, and there's a lot of other people that have been involved in it. But Laura, we thank you, and make sure everybody else. When I sent out the announcement, I noticed I'd missed Jared, so I did send him a late one. Hopefully, it didn't hurt his feelings that I missed him the first time. But
As long as he gets money, Jared.
but that's it's very nice to have a local foundation and to be able to get that much money. So, okay, moving on to the action agenda. The first action item is to approve payments. Anybody have any questions on any of the payments?
Nope. I have none.
We're good.
Have a motion to approve in a second, please.
Make a motion to approve the payments.
Second.
Mr. Battery?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
For O&M projects, we finally got the wall removed from the band room.
Yay.
It took 4 years and 3 visits by an architect.
That was a Jericho march.
And then the very last day, they said, well, that was a partition wall. They finally cut a hole in the ceiling, and they were looking how to support the wall, and they cut a hole in the ceiling, and they went up there and said, oh, that didn't support anything.
Right.
But anyway,
Hadn't been
I'll
there.
try and forget about that all. We're now putting a new floor in the band room. The parking lot across from the elementary school is much improved, has a new entrance, is now a nice place to park. There's been, these are the small air conditioners, but there's been 2 put in the ag building, 1 put in the band room. We're doing snake control at the high school. I actually thought that was an ag project.
We're glad the ag department didn't find out about it, though.
I told Mr. Mead that was a small animal science class. Wasn't
That's
it?
right.
Small animal.
So what's Miss Johnson growing?
We haven't had a lot of volunteers to take on that project.
Okay, so we're
Mongoose.
trying to train the copperheads.
Oh, gosh.
2 new, and these are large units, high voltage, actually heat pump units in the sports complex have been installed. We've had trouble with those for years. The refrigerator unit at the high school needed a part, and my understanding that was replaced last Thursday and is now operating. Is that correct? The faucets have been replaced at both schools. It's really nice touchless faucets, about the nicest ones I've ever seen, to be honest. And hand sanitizers put in, soap dispensers, and auto flush valves. So, been a whole lot done. We still have not had a chance to get together, Lenore and I, and make the bid for the roofs at the elementary school, and we'll try and get that done before the next meeting.
Is that for the ag building? Is that right?
Yeah. And so right now there are no active capital projects in O&M, so we really don't need to approve anything at this time.
Is there any big needs coming up that we see, or?
Well, we're looking at the fire alarm system, the intercom system at the high school, like say these roofs.
I think we have another unit that's bad in the office for HVAC, isn't it?
They're working on that today.
Yeah, hopefully they can fix that one. I'm hoping we.
But not today.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Have they rounded up all the outdoor units that needed repair? I know there was quite an extensive list. Did they repair all those?
Yeah, I think that's the last one that we know of.
They put two air conditioner units in the ag building today.
Yeah, the
And then
small ones.
They got one to put into the band room as soon as it gets complete.
Okay, next is bus driver compensation. We heard their cases. I'll throw one thing on the table. I don't think it's right to pay the full-time drivers for Wednesday and not pay the part-time drivers. I think we need to be consistent across the board. So that's one element of it you can think about, and the other element is the shuttle pay. It originally was 2 hours morning, 2 hours evening. It was reduced to an hour. I really thought when we did our budget discussion, we agreed to increase it to an hour and a half morning and evening. But I don't think it ever got put into the voting.
We remember discussing taking it up to $10 because minimum wage was supposed to go up to $10.
Right.
So that's the last discussion we remembered.
I mean, I feel very lucky we have the drivers we do.
Yeah. And we need to take care of them, and they're hard to find, so.
So my suggestion would be that we make a motion to pay all drivers on Wednesday while we're in this schedule, and to increase the shuttle pay to 2 hours a trip. So 2 hours morning, 2 hours evening. And then you do it that way, if we adjust the salary at a later time, it would automatically adjust.
Right. Okay.
But it's open for discussion.
You said there was 5 of them?
Yeah, 5.
Right, 5 shuttle buses
To cover
now.
for Wednesday, yeah. Oh, there's 5 that, and then there was 5, there was 5 part-time drivers.
5
correct?
part-time and 5 shuttle drivers.
5 shuttles.
Okay.
We, in this budget year, raised the shuttle pay, did we not,
We did $10.
to $10?
An
It was
hour?
the same
It's 8
hours, but it
Yeah.
went from $8 to
So-
$10 an hour.
We've already raised the hourly rate for them, even though that we weren't required to, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
My question would be, how are those shuttle drivers determined? Because that's quite a bit of money. How do you determine
Who's gonna get
who
that
gets
job?
those routes?
Who normally drives them?
Well, up to now, everybody has, right?
No,
No.
that was only 1 week, I think they did
Oh,
that.
okay, all right.
Well, imagine we have to do it every week. I mean, every route has to become a shuttle when, say at some point.
Well, that was the way we started out. We had every bus driver hitting both schools. And that's actually a different amount of time, because part of the shuttle is you got to go to school and wait for all the buses to come in, and then to redo. And that's really why, they say the 2 hours, because, it doesn't take you 2 hours to drive from one school to the other.
So the
Right. It's more of
beginning,
waiting.
in that week, or the week that they did, each bus went from one school to the other. That didn't work out right, or?
It just felt that, they were driving buses that had a child.
Yeah, there were 2 and 3 kids on the bus.
Inefficient.
Yeah, very good.
So they're cleaning these buses
Yeah.
before the other kids get on for
That
the
was
shuttle
another part of
buses?
what they're doing now, is they're doing wipe down and,
But every bus driver's doing that.
right, the shuttle bus drivers are doing that for the shuttles.
Okay.
That's another requirement we've put on them.
So right now, we're paying
Any
extra
idea how much
$20
it's gonna cost
for a shuttle run for 2 hours.
total, guessing?
Hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon.
Well, it's gonna increase this $20 times 5, so $100 a day, and how many days do we go to school?
180 is what they had on their
100
contract.
It's 144 if you take out the 36
So 144
weeks, I
times
think.
100.
That's for the part-time.
No, that's for the shuttle.
Yeah, we're talking
If we
shuttle
go the
right
whole
now.
year without that Wednesday, I think it's
Okay.
144 days.
So it's gonna cost us $14,400
$12.36 off of
in
180.
addition for
Yeah.
the shuttle.
Yeah.
For the year?
Yeah.
Manageable?
I mean,
Okay.
It's probably in that transportation budget.
Yeah.
okay.
We don't need to make a motion now, or is this part of it?
No, we need to make a motion.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we go ahead and pay the part-time bus drivers for Wednesday. And then we increase the shuttle pay for 2 hours each run, correct?
Correct.
Yes. I'll make the motion for that.
I'll second.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Buckley?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. Next item is called special assignment, and there should be a document that and what this is, and it kind of actually falls into somewhat what Ms. Hatcher talked about in her comments. But we've known for some time that, education needed to change to keep track with the change in technology. And the question is, how should we be doing it? And, you've got a different arrangement for kindergarten, or at least K through 3. You've kind of got middle school, you've got high school, you've got, what equipment, and maybe the easiest thing for me to do is just read this out loud, and then we can move forward. The education community has recognized for a number of years that the learning process needs to change to keep pace with technical development in the information age. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced the timing of these changes. While multiple resources are available from the state, individual companies, and other school districts, the best path forward is unclear. In addition, school systems are faced with solving both immediate and long-term education issues. While currently the management of a hybrid schedule is a major challenge, Bland County Public Schools looks at the long-term solution as an opportunity to both improve education and reduce costs. A dedicated effort driven by an individual with a background in curriculum and testing is needed to provide a clear direction for Bland County Public Schools for both in-house and online learning. The Bland County School Board is requesting that a study be completed to address the following questions. How should Bland County Public Schools transition from traditional to hybrid learning? Should the approach be the same for both core and elective classes? What is the role of a teacher in online instruction? What are the availability and requirements of a teacher in hybrid learning? How is class size and student-teacher ratio determined for online classes? What infrastructure is required in the form of classrooms and cubicles? What computer hardware is required and how is it distributed? What computer software is required and how should it be managed? What is the bandwidth required at the schools? What bandwidth is required for a student to be successful at home? What are the options if internet access is not available to a student? Is a recording studio needed at Bland County Public Schools? Is recording equipment required in the classroom? If so, then what? What is the future of SOL testing and how does it fit into the Bland County Public School strategy? What is the best source or sources for instruction? Virtual Virginia, Khan Academy, self-developed, etc. What is the role of the guidance counselor in the new structure? What are a student's options concerning both remote and in-house instruction as a member of Bland County Public Schools? Over what period of time should Bland County Public School transition into the new approach? Deliverable, a comprehensive plan covering the future of instruction for Bland County Public Schools, which can be presented to and reviewed with the school board and addressed in a manner that a budget can be established. So I'm sure a lot of other items could be added to that. But we're at a turning point, and it's critical in so many ways, both for the education of our children, for the, I'll say, protecting our staff and our teachers so that they know how to move forward in developing budgets, and also in making sure that Bland County Public Schools has a future, because our future depends on having students. And there's a lot of things being done right now making it much easier to not be a part of Bland County Public Schools. So I'm not sure what we need to do tonight as a board on this, but you know, there are companies that say they'll do this. That makes me nervous because I would like, at the end of this, for Bland County to be something unique and special. You know, I see things like Roanoke County schools. What they're doing is they're setting up cameras in the classroom, recording the teachers, and saying, okay, if you want to go virtual, you sit there and watch the classroom just as if you were here. But I don't think that's optimal, because if you look at the time that a teacher is in the classroom, not all of that time is instruction. They're doing individual attention to children, they're doing logistics, they're doing a number of things. And who says that a teacher, especially when they're teaching multiple classes, like in the elementary school, is the best in getting the point across in each one of those classes? They probably have one or two that they're really good in, a couple others that they really weren't their forte. So I think we want to look at this really hard and say, you know, how do we make sure that every instructional period is top notch? And how do we allow the students that want to move faster to move fast, and the students that need additional help and motivation and provide that for them? So this is a very tough thing, and I would not feel comfortable outsourcing this. I think it's something we need to do. But on the other hand, I think we need a dedicated person to do this. This can't be in addition to.
No,
Everybody
it's
right
too
now
different.
is loaded to the gills. Mr. Mead, any comments on what I've said?
I mean, it could be budgeted out of COVID, I would imagine.
I think for a period of time, it probably can be.
It's almost like the director of curriculum, which we haven't had here in a long time.
But it would just be to cover these points.
It would be to establish the process moving forward. Then you can say, okay, once it's defined, does the position need to continue to go on? Or is it you built the house and the carpenters leave? That would have to be developed. But like I say, I don't think it's something, I would hope that a lot of people would volunteer to be part of this, but I don't think the leadership and the true responsibility can just be tacked on to somebody else's role.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm asking is that we make a motion to create such a position and start doing research as to how we would fill such a position.
I don't know that we want to create the position now. I think we would probably look about how to fill it and what requirements maybe that you would have to fill it. I don't know if we want to just move forward and just create it tonight, maybe.
Well, I think what we need, though, is a commitment that we're going to move this direction. And again, I'm not sure exactly how the motion would be worded.
Well, I think you're gonna have to have something, someone to head it up, someone to research the things you're talking about. And I don't think there's anybody we have currently that's got the time to do that.
No, I don't think so. There's too much other stuff going on.
I mean, I see this, probably of my time on the school board, this to me is one of the most important things that I've been involved in. Because we're never going to go back to the way it was. And to be honest, when it was that way, we knew we needed some changes. Because we weren't offering enough electives, we weren't allowing people, certain people to move at the pace they needed to move at, be it slower or faster. And we didn't, right now, we kind of put the burden on the teachers, okay, you got A, you got B, and you got remote, take care of it. That's not fair to them. I guess the one positive thing I'm kind of saying about this year is that with all the teachers figuring out their own path, there'll be a lot of very interesting ideas come forth that we can capitalize on.
Well, and I hate to say this, but you're never going to go back to the way it was. Now that we've shown the world that we can do these things virtually through Zoom, through Google Classroom, whatever, you're still going to have.
I still think you never replace brick and mortar because you can't get that experience, the brick and mortar, because kids need the social aspect, and I think they probably found that out last year, didn't you, Charlie? You found out that some kids they don't, but
I think
even those kids that don't think they need it, they need it. So
right. I think that's part of this role.
Yeah.
It's school is going to be different. You're going to be given the option of you don't have to go to school, or you can go to school. Now, why would I want to go to school? I mean, I'm hearing people say, well, I can do my work in 3 hours, and I've got the rest of the day to myself, and I can do this and I can do that. Yeah, but what is your personal development in those other hours?
Right.
I mean, what are you learning on socialization? We've got to make school so that people want to come for the various things that you talked about, Charlie. The clubs and the interaction and the sports and the things, one of the things that when we started getting into this technology age that people really missed, I thought, was they said, you get internet, you can live by yourself on top of a mountain and you don't have to interact with anybody. All you got to have is a computer and Wi-Fi. The problem is things are moving so fast. And it's not like the old days where you could go buy a manual and read the manual. There's no manuals anymore. What you learn from is the person next to you walks over and says, hey, did you see this? You ever done that? You learn by the socialization. So it's actually brought people together, and that's why the inner cities have gotten populated again, is that they sit together and they learn from each other. And the information age has really brought people together to learn from each other because, it's the old thing, you don't know what you don't know. Somebody shows you something, well, you didn't even know it existed until somebody showed it to you. So, I mean, that's got to be part of this, and somehow we've got to put this package together that says, you need to come to our school. Yeah, if you want to do remote classes, that's fine. We'll even set up a place in the school you can do them. You can take electives that you never had the opportunity to do before. We'll give you opportunities you never had, but on the other hand, you can learn from the other students, you can socialize, you can do all these other things. So, we don't even care if you live in Bland County. You come to our school system. We're special. We've got things that no other school system is offering. And
I think you got to have. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go.
I just think. Well, first of all, I'd like to bounce it off the people back here to let them look at that and see if they agree with it and they're good with it. But I think you got to have a person. We had a guy where I worked at that if you asked him what was going on in the market today, he couldn't tell you. But if you asked him what was going to happen in 10 years, he knew. And I think that's what you got to have. You have to have that individual sees, may not know exactly what's happening today, but you ask them where it's going, they can look at, they have that ability, the big picture person that is able to see where it's going in the future. And I mean, because there's so many people that can tell you what's going to happen, but the problem is that most of them, 99.9% of them, get it wrong. So I'd like to, before we go make a motion to create it, that we bounce it off and make sure that everything we're looking for is really on here, just to get lots of ideas.
Well, I'd like to see some motion tonight saying that the process is going to move forward. I don't know what the wording is, but I mean, we'll open up the floor. Am I crazy?
No. You're exactly point on.
Brick and mortar is no longer, it's going to be virtual.
Brick and mortar is a hub for virtual.
If this here proves to be, I'm not just talking for Blaine, I'm talking, that is going to be an option for the kids. I mean,
Right.
And I agree, but I think if we're out ahead of it, you want to be the person that's the gold standard. You want to be out ahead of it, and if you do it, you want to do it right. We don't want to be the ones that started it and then screwed it up and waited for somebody else to fix it.
It's a touch and go situation because you say, okay, I got these great ideas and we'll do this, and then Virginia decides they're doing this, and all of a sudden you've got to do testing, and it's you can't do this in a silo.
No,
you got to have somebody that's touching all the.
That's looking at everything. It's looking
Right.
what Virginia's doing, but also looking at what everything else is going throughout the nation.
That's what I meant when I said we're never going back to the way it was. We have to step into the future because we've developed the future. Our teachers are good. Last March when this happened, in 2 weeks' time, we were boom, boom, boom. We're doing it, and so we've got to move forward, and we've got to be able to offer this remote learning, virtual learning. It's part of school now, and like you said, the school is just a hub.
Mr. Graham, I think he was getting ready.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, I said you.
Charlie.
If I want to add to the point in perspective of the student body and how we progress from going from the elementary up to the high school, the staff and administration builds the students, and we give in the commitment, the willingness to change into what we define as today. So no student in there is exactly the same as another. They're going to be different somehow because they found interest in these electives or they found interest in this career goal. So what you're proposing is more, I think the word to best describe it is a revolution to our education. A revolution to combine all these options. Hey, you can do remote learning, but let's see what we can do to build you into the person you want to be and to take on and get more people into visualizing that big picture.
I agree with Charlie.
Good.
I think revolution is exactly the right word to put out there.
Yes.
Maybe the direction you might consider going is a feasibility focus group amongst community members, students, faculty, and staff in the division to identify those pieces, because if the resources aren't there to support it, it's a huge financial burden. When you're looking out over the cliff, trying to figure out the best way down, and if you take the wrong path, there's no recovery from that. You put a huge burden upon the division
Right.
to try to recoup from that. And also, the resources that our citizens and the communities have, will they be able to support that, or do we need another industry to come in and provide those Wi-Fi access points across a huge expanse of a county? I'm excited to hear you say these kind of things. I'm sitting over here trying not to bounce in my chair and planning even roll. I mean, it's like, I could find time, but I can't find time to do that. So, I mean, I'm right there with you, but it's also a pretty deep, dark hole if you don't maneuver your way appropriately into it, the way to do the right thing. Because you're also, you said we don't really want to pull a company in and do this for us, but that's exactly who you'd be competing against. Because there are those industries out there that already have these in place, are completely well-funded, and are pulling students out of brick and mortar situations to come into them and are getting ADM money for those students when they come in, and school divisions are actually hosting those to get
Well, I mean, I don't mind using that,
somebody else's infrastructure.
right, but I don't want them telling us what we need to do.
Understand. And so the idea is that still the teacher in front of the classroom, whatever that classroom environment actually looks like, that gets to call the shots on what best instruction is. But there are ways as we try to navigate what our population may look like in the next couple of years and what resources are available. I think there are pieces there that we could evaluate, but we have so many different viewpoints that have to be assessed to be able to make sure we're moving forward, that maybe the feasibility piece is the best way to go before we commit massive amounts of money, even in just a position at this point.
Well, I think we need to do something in this meeting because these things, you know, everybody can get excited about them and then all of a sudden they just
Well, yeah.
blow away. So what's our next step? We need to make a decision to do the next step. And, you know, if a feasibility study is the next step, then I think that's what we should.
I agree on what Mr. Grimm said and the analogy of looking down onto that cliff. How are we going to navigate to the bottom? But is it necessarily that one person going down to the bottom, or is it more of a structure of people that's helping each other down to get to the bottom? So if the position becomes available, then we can have that pull in, but the communication will have to be vital in order to make it something more unique to Blaine County Public Schools.
Right. I mean, I don't feel that you would hire somebody and just say, okay, go away and in 6 months come back with a plan. That they've got to work through the whole organization. But on the other hand, if you don't have somebody who is responsible, you're probably not going to get a result because it's going to be a lot of things that, well, I like doing it this way. Well, I like doing it that way. You know, it's things. And the thing about it is, it's going to be different based upon the grade level. It's not going to be one single answer.
It's got to be a group of people that are open-minded and can do the paradigm shift that we're talking about. You've already done the needs assessment. We know what we need, and now we've got to do, I think, the feasibility study of bringing in ideas from different folks and different factions, and the person heading it up or the people heading it up have to be open-minded.
It's kind of like the individual you talked about that came in and talked to the new teachers.
Mm-hmm.
You need somebody in that role.
And he would be perfect. He would be excellent. He's a good person to start with. But I think tonight you could agree upon moving forward with a feasibility study so we can start the ball rolling. And I can call Mr. Hurt tomorrow and see if he'd be willing to come and speak to whoever we put on this feasibility.
Okay. Why don't we do that and make it a ongoing action item on our meetings?
Are you good with that? No.
So if you
Yeah,
wanna make a
I'll make a
motion
motion to begin to establish a feasibility study for the development of curriculum and online education. And for that to be an ongoing action item for future meetings. Discuss.
I'll second.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Petrie?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. Okay, next item, infrastructure. You know, we we did a lot of work. We had the state come in. We went out and got options on land, you know, analyzed all the land in the county and went out and got options. And we were kind of moving forward. We were at the point of hiring an architect to design what we would need and start coming up with some costs based on the fact that they knew what pieces of property we were looking at. And then COVID hit. Okay. And one of the things I was hoping Scott would say, but he didn't, about Mr. Taylor being in here, is, what did his assistant say?
In order for her to do grant writing, she has to have a site for new facilities,
So basically, what you hear over and over again, until you have a site, nobody's going to give you any money, nobody's going to support anything, that type of thing. So the question comes to mind, what do? Do we say, well, something happens? I won't use that word.
Yeah.
And, we just kind of walk away and say, well, maybe we can try it again in another couple of years. Or do we say, hey, there's some critical issues here, and we know that our enrollment is at high risk. We know that we had to go back to the county this year and ask for more money. We know that that's not a one-time thing, that we're going to go back to the county probably every year now and ask for more local money unless something happens from state funding. And you know that the income to the state is being hit hard by COVID. So the state is probably not going to be real generous as far as giving more money to schools. So what should we do? Well, in these kind of things, if we don't have the support of the people in the county, we're just basically beating our head against a wall. So normally we would say, okay, let's have some kind of a session, call people together, ask for their opinions, but we can't do that because we can't get together. So here's another proposal, and again, I'll read what it is. It's moving Bland County Public Schools forward. The Bland County School Board has been working extensively on the best approach moving forward from a facility perspective. The past consolidation resulted in significant savings. However, that well is now dry. The Board of Supervisors agreed to increase local funding for the 2020-2021 school year to cover shortfalls resulting from decreased enrollment and the costs required to run and maintain the 3 locations at Bland, Rocky Gap, and Bastion. The true understanding of the costs and benefits of new construction versus maintaining the current infrastructure will only be known after in-depth analysis. Since new construction costs are highly dependent on the actual site, the school board identified and placed options on 2 locations. The process of identifying an architect to provide a high-level school design and associated cost was taking place when the pandemic hit. Progress has currently been placed on hold. The question is, do we move ahead, and if so, how? There are positives and negatives. No doubt the state of Virginia will be struggling with decreased revenues this year and probably for several years to come. This will translate into funding reduction programs for both Bland County and the Bland County school system. On the other hand, interest rates are at a record low, and financing costs are a major component of the overall cost. Due to uncertainty, construction projects are being canceled and builders are looking for projects, which helps reduce costs. No doubt school will never be like it was before the pandemic. It had already been recognized that remote and online learning had to play a larger role. This allows for more electives and enables students to move at a faster pace if desired. This also changes the design of facilities and the requirements placed on the teachers. The path we were on before the pandemic was reducing enrollment, and minimal options to reduce costs showed that an additional $200,000 or $300,000 would be needed from local funds each year over the amount the prior year just to operate the schools. This understanding was one of the significant drivers in looking at new facility and teaching options. The math is simple and straightforward. In a small number of years, the local costs could become extreme, and the Bland taxpayers would be paying a cost equivalent to having a new facility, even if one wasn't built. The bottom line is change will be necessary. The pandemic will be a significant driver from multiple points of view. Bland County cannot financially afford to return to the teaching concepts and infrastructure that was in place before the pandemic. We are currently living in an uncertain environment. Pandemic case numbers can change our lives on a daily basis. Parents are not certain whether to even send their children back to school. The school board needs your input. Please give us your thoughts. Should we just hold off? Should we purchase a site? Should we hire an architect to design the school and provide cost data? Or do you have a better idea? Please send your thoughts and comments to the website and the address. So the question is, do we send something like this out and ask for input? Or do we just basically mark time, which is kind of what we're doing? I mean, right now, I really would say I don't know the opinion of our citizens.
A year and a half ago, you all held a town hall meeting and asked for public input.
Yeah.
To the people that I know and the people that I've talked to, nothing has changed. In the last 2 months, I've continued to walk around these facilities and we see problem after problem after problem that these facilities are not going to get any better and not to even match our current or future educational needs. You know, I think if you ask the public, you're going to hear a lot of the same that you heard before.
Do you feel it would help support us with the Board of Supervisors to get more input, though?
I do. I mean, especially if you get it in writing.
I mean, I think there's, somebody probably need to look this over from a proper English standpoint or, that type of thing. But I would like to say that we post this and ask for input. I mean, say you get no input.
Well, it ain't going to hurt anything.
No.
But I mean, we appreciate the Board of Supervisors. They've been very generous to the school system. And we appreciate all their support. And, it's a new era for all of us. And, I think I can speak for my family and I can speak for a lot of other young families such as ourselves that have kids rising up in the school system that things are going to have to change. And that our school system and the buildings and the infrastructure and the not just our teaching methods, but a lot of things are going to have to change. And, I was hoping that we would be able to make some headway through this, but I see that we've not. And, if we need public opinion, let's get public opinion so that we can move forward.
Well, the headways stopped. I mean, when COVID hit, it was just the timing issue. The thing is that we have connections with the supervisor and the school system, and they should be closer now to the school system than they ever have been from having Dr. Workman from his time as a principal to Karen working inside the schools and stuff. So they have the connections to the schools, so they know. And I just hope that they would support us, and we need to. It's time to move forward, because if we don't do it now, I don't see how it can happen. And now's the best time for it. I don't see that.
I look at both of these documents, and they kind of correspond with one another, because the feasibility study will be good, but I'm curious as to how architects are building new schools now with the transitions and the things that's gone on.
I think it'll change after this. I think
maybe us stopping there on March was a good thing, so we can, if we do get into a new facility, we build an updated facility that'll handle all these things that.
Because I can see 4, 5, 6 classrooms for high school where students go in for electives that's taught on the video. It's almost it's picked up maybe from, you can do electives that we would never been able to offer, that now you need 4 or 5 classrooms that have the video capabilities to be able to teach those electives online.
Yeah, I think there'll be small rooms. I think there'll be pods, even things where, there's might be 8 people in here, but each of them's doing something different.
Yeah.
They're still supervised, but they don't all have to be doing the same thing. But, I think to get the support from the supervisors, we need to make sure we've got the support from the citizens.
Right.
So, if we would get this document reviewed, and then, my thinking was we'd put it on their website, we'd put it on Facebook, and I'll see if I can get the paper to put it in.
Well, I mean, even if we had a survey to be sent out, is that even possible? We could send it out electronically and people could just fill it out and send it right back?
Well, we've actually, there's been a couple surveys written in the past, and people feel too often on surveys that the questions are leading. That you've already, I'll say, made up your mind, and you're asking them these questions to try and this one is, we're asking for your input.
Well, I mean, it could be just as simple as just provide us your comments, and in essence, in a place where we could collect those, more or less, not to lead them, just, hey, pretty much that last couple sentences, just give them electronic means if you would.
Yeah, I think the email address would be,
Right, I mean, what we had here was the email address and the post. I mean, if somebody wants to send us a letter, somebody wants to email us. I don't know how else you'd have them send it in. That's about the only two ways. But if you're on board on this, we could have a motion for it to be reviewed, and then what about timing? I mean, usually takes about a week to get it in the paper.
get it reviewed and again, get it reviewed and look, I think
I mean, 30 days? Is that enough time?
Oh, I don't think we need that much.
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
Just say by the next regular school board meeting? Yeah, for the comments.
Okay. Well, let's make a motion that we move ahead with this, and I don't know who you want to have review it.
I have a person.
You have a person?
You have a good
okay.
English teacher that might be able to review it?
I have a few.
Okay.
Okay. So review it and put it in Virginia English.
Missouri English. Missouri.
And then let me know, and I'll do my best to get it in the paper free.
I think if we're going to move this direction, we need to do as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
While interest rates are so nice, and this is the time to do
Oh,
something.
I mean, I think in the total cost, I mean, interest rate, usually you pay more for your loan than you do for your house.
Yeah.
If we can get an excellent interest rate and we can catch, these builders while they're looking for something to do, I think it would be golden. So,
But, I think whether,
Materials.
no matter what the citizens of Blaine County say, we need partnership.
Yeah.
We need partnership at the supervisor level. We need partnership at the county administration level. And I just share this
that's
evening
a
that,
real good point. Why don't, after you get it marked up and the final copy, send it to each of us and we'll each take it to our supervisor.
yeah.
And so that they know what we're doing and they're not blindsided in any way.
Mm-mm.
Okay?
We need a motion?
Yeah, make a motion that we,
Make a motion that we prepare this document for public input.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Second.
Mr. Buttrey?
For
Ms. Puckett? Mr. Bailey?
For.
Mr. Shepherd?
okay, one more item, personnel recommendations. I think what we've got is JV and basketball and then middle school.
Middle school, yeah, JV, boys basketball, then middle school boys and girls basketball.
Okay. Do we have a motion on that?
Yeah, that's fine.
I make the motion that we approve John Thompson as the JV boys basketball coach and Seth Baker as middle school boys basketball, Katie Bright middle school girls basketball.
second.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
For.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. And I think that's everything on the agenda.
Should be item G.
Oh, that's right.
K through 3
Item G.
education.
which goes back to what we talked about in,
I think you need to leave that on there as we approach this 9 weeks to get the survey and stuff back.
well, let's make a motion that, let me throw something out and then you can reword it. But we want to look at potentially offering students to return to the classroom at the 9-week point.
That were just virtual.
That were virtual.
That were virtual. And that we, basically, we will be contacting them to see if there's any change in their decision as far as being virtual.
Is that good?
Yeah, I don't want to turn my back on that.
Right.
Do not want to turn my back on the current virtual format, not making an option that's working towards returning if it's either at home or 4 days.
Right.
It gives the impression of cutting them off if they're not important.
I think you were right. This is the first move. Let's get the more virtual ones back. I mean, a lot of people were very nervous as to how this thing was starting out. And I think if they would walk through our schools now, they'd be much more comfortable. So let's make the first move, getting as many virtual students back in the building as we can, and then we'll look at what we can do to have more time in the building. Right.
Is that something we need to make a motion on, or is that something that we're just? Is that something?
Well, I think we've got to change our plan, right? Did the plan identify a semester?
Instructional plan.
For amendment to the
Yeah, we need to
instructional plan.
make an amendment to our plan that we will allow our, offer the opportunity for students to return at the end of the 9-week period.
So I'll make
I
it-
like that. I like that motion, and I'm well in favor of that for them to come back in. But I think also we need to be thinking on down the road before October the 19th that our hybrid system, to dissolve it and to go back to a 4-day week in which we start rolling back in, whether it's first our K through 3 grades, which I understand that we've had some we want to bring in the virtual folks, but also we've got to understand that the virtual is not everything, and there's a lot of people that are struggling with this.
Right.
And I'm not talking about necessarily just my household, but a lot of other households that have particularly small children, to make sure that they get back into education. And I know Mr. Grimm brought up a lot of things that, being able to see the kid's mouth with the phonics and being able to have the social distancing, but also at the same time, if we push this on down the road past October 19th, you're going to be almost into November, December before we're going to look to bring these kids back in. I think we need to have some kind of a plan in place to go along with this motion to bring in at least the K through 3 4 days a week.
I don't think anybody physically knows how to do that right now under the current set of rules.
I think that's the biggest thing. I think teachers are
We're just now getting
their feet under
Getting our
them
feet-
for what's
Right.
going on now.
we can't just do this all of a sudden. We've got to have some time.
But I mean, kind of what I was thinking is, if we try and get more kids back in on the 9 weeks, and then we can start working on a plan. I mean, this is all assuming that the cases go the right way in the county. But if everything's going our way, we're probably looking at semester before we would go back to 4 days.
I think we're going to see some tremendous struggles.
Well, I agree, because what happens is the kids that need it the most are the ones that aren't getting it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we have any answers right now unless we can change the social distance. I mean, if the state would go into another phase.
That's the key. I mean, if we go to a phase 4 that opens things up, I think that would help. I think either way, if the masks don't go away, you're gonna be stuck with kids wearing masks all day, basically like tassels or.
Well, and that's one of the things is I've been out in the community and asked parents, and they've asked, they said, we want our kids back in school. I said, okay, are you all right with them wearing masks all day long? They're like, yes.
I mean, one of the things, and I think we could write this into our plan and get away with it, is if you start looking at, this only works in the elementary school, but you start looking at that group of students almost as a family. So you say, okay, as long as you're in this pod with these students and this teacher, we can relax some of the requirements.
Is there any questions on that? Is there any issues with that? Is there, Ms. Blessing, Mr. Grimm?
Yeah. Wouldn't be able to provide PE, and that's a state requirement.
Yeah. Well, but then they'd have to wear their masks. I'm saying, I mean, what I'm talking about in the classroom environment with just this one group of students and this teacher, we could relax the requirements. Now, as soon as they walk out into a hallway or they do something else, then it's back to the way it was.
Wouldn't they have to wear the masks in the classroom as well?
Yeah, because you just got the same,
because you're
in your
not.
fourth grade, they're already wearing masks with 7 kids.
Right, but what I'm saying, could we not write it in part of our plan and get it approved that if
they approve,
we make a pod, that it's the same kids, the same, and we limit the interaction with anybody else, that we essentially treat that group as a family.
And then when they leave that classroom to go to gym, go to
Right.
music, go to wherever, they mask up, they all go, they do the thing, leave their mask on, and then when they come back to the class, as a group, they can then take the mask off, and as a group, they remain in that.
So I think maybe
If that's possible, it'd have to be approved. That would be above us. That would be a state thing.
my
And
recommendation then would be to waive the semester waiting period to return to the building. If my bigger concern would be is if we waive those ideas of protection that are currently in the building, we will drive students who are currently hybrid into virtual, which I understand there's the revolutionary idea of maybe that's where we're headed, but it's not tweaked to be perfect.
No, we don't want to drive them away.
So
Yeah.
I'm afraid we'll drive more students out.
Okay.
And I
by
don't
bringing
think
more
that's
kids
currently worth it.
together,
Bring
yeah.
more kids back.
The-
Yeah.
Okay.
I really think right now, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and I really hope we can get there, but right now, I think the only thing we can do is say, hey, let's see who we can get back on the 9 weeks.
Any of those things, have them call me.
I mean, every family I talk
I'll
to,
break the rule.
I'm not saying we're going back to the way things were, but I'm saying let's plow a row here, in essence, to start something other. And if I'm not saying that we got to start it next week or in 2 weeks, but because like Mr. Grimm and Mr. Mead have said that everybody's just got their feet wet, but also at the same time, let's look on down the road. And, I wouldn't have no problem if folks that are virtual right now and they want to send their kid for the hybrid, let's send them on in. Of course, that's pending the approval, and I don't see no reason why not. But also at the same time, I mean, let's make a path on down the road to bring at least our K through 3 back inside the building, at least 4 days a week. Miss Blessing?
Well,
Thoughts? Yeah.
I have children in the 6th grade who, we relax the mask, have to wear them when you're in the room and by yourself. And their parents have told them you leave the mask on. As a teacher, to address what he said a minute ago about, if you're gonna not social distance, you wear the mask all day. I have to ask them, and you guys have did this all evening long, you can't hear me with this on. If I'm in math class and I say, can you tell me, what this answer is, and they're like, I don't understand what you said, you're gonna have to pull your mask down to speak to me. So that's not gonna happen as far as that. And then you've got the little ones who don't understand. A couple of our kindergarten classes are so small that if you bring those kids back in 4 days a week, there's no way that you can social distance. Laura Sage's room, it's super small. I just don't see that happening. So I agree with what Mr. Grimm said. If you're gonna bring those back, you're gonna drive a certain number away. Because they're gonna say, no, if there's that many kids in the class, I'm not gonna send my child. So you can't win either way.
Yeah, I think we go back to trying to inviting the virtuals back, and then in October, or if we have to have a meeting in
Revisit.
between now and the next meeting to look and see what the cases are going. But I don't see that happening I don't see having it in place, be able to be prepared for it, because even by let's just say by the 19th of October, when was it the 9 weeks ended? Was it the 19th?
19.
Even by the 19th of October, that's a month. I mean, we're talking about we're 3 weeks in and they're just still now getting their feet. In another month, it's not going to, I mean, I've been talking to Heather, get in your groove. You need to find your groove. And then they get in that groove, and then all of a sudden, okay, you got to find another groove. So it's going to be difficult. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think we shoot for, it'd be nice to think that you could shoot before the semester, but I don't, before the next semester.
I'd like the idea of inviting
Yes.
the students back.
And I agree.
Yes.
I want to. I even think in my mind, hey, before long we can get kids back in here 4 days. But I look at the cases, but then I have to also look from their perspectives, and they're the perspectives, and you know it too. So
I mean, I've looked at the cases. I've watched those over the last few days and weeks, and it's a lot to ponder. And I mean, Mr. Grimm's question is, if we invite all these students back in, will we push anybody out to fully virtual? It's really one of those things we don't know. I mean, we would think you might, you may not. We don't know. I'm just sharing what I've been asked by parents that share that same viewpoint. So,
Well, I started down the exact same path that you. I mean, I would love to see K through 3 4 days a week. I mean, that's a goal of mine. But like Mr. Grimm said, we don't want to run people off, and we need to get as many students back as we can as our first action. And a month from now, there may be a different feeling.
they may change. You may go into
I'm hoping it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
But but we need to decide what we're going to do on this, guys.
the motion stands. I could make an amendment, but it would be voted down, so I'm not going to make the amendment.
I don't have a problem at looking, always to be open, but I think as far as planning, I think we
make
have
that
to
part of the
plan
amendment
to
to
go.
look at what it would take to.
Yeah, I
do
mean, to always be,
K3.
because they're going to be open and looking, and
Yeah.
they already know. They've already been thinking about it. Have you not thought about it? I'm sure you've thought about, what if we could get the kids? I'm sure Miss Blessing is. You look at it every day. Man, what happens if all the kids come back? Then what? I'm sure that goes through your mind at least once or twice a week. It has to, I would think, probably more than that. But
I laid out my room at the beginning of the year with 6 foot of social distancing, and I could hold 8 kids. And I have a bigger room than some of the others. Yeah, and everything was moved out.
right, there would be no. I mean, there wouldn't be social distancing. That's the thing. If we brought the kids back, it'd be mask all day. I mean, that would be the
requirement.
Yeah,
Unless you put up clear petitions.
Yeah.
You guys just sit there and said that we are doing such a good job that the parents are now feeling relieved.
Right.
That they can do this, and then we're gonna go and change it.
No,
up.
I agree. I agree.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll say. No.
You made the
forgot what the
motion.
motion was.
Thought you made the motion.
Did I make the motion? Well, I'm not seconding it then.
Right, that's what I said,
but
I
our
forgot what the
secretary
motion
kept up with
was.
I didn't write anything down.
What was it?
I don't have anyone making a motion, but.
Just invite
I'd
them to.
make
No, because he started reading what the motion would look like, but nobody,
Actually
and
made
the
it.
chairman
I don't
can't
think
make the
anybody
motion,
actually
so.
made the motion, so when you want to,
I'd rather not.
Then you can make the amendment if you want. And I mean, I'll make the motion that we look
Invite
begin to invite the virtual students back into the hybrid
October the 19th.
before the 19th. You want to do it before the 19th?
I think at the 9 weeks. That's
The 9 week period.
at the 9-week period, October 19th, with eventual goal
right.
to bring all kids back 4 days a week, but not by that period of time. The 19th would be strictly for virtual students coming back. The goal of all kids coming back would be past that, unless there's some. I don't know how else.
At a point of time after that.
I don't know. I'm with you. I am with you. I am with you. I promise you. But I see. But they're the. I mean, they're the ones that's.
They're in it every day.
Right. So we're going to invite the virtual students to come back to in class at the 9-week period.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, they can stay the way they are, or they can change their mind. And you know, with a goal that at a later date, hopefully we can bring students back to 4 days a week.
That one. I'll make that motion. You got it?
Go ahead.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Bradley?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Patrick?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make that one.
I'll second that one.
4.
4. Thank you, public.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Marzoff, for coming back. Thank you very much.
Yes.